Hey guys, it's Mike Wong. I had a couple of people express interest in a stage walkthrough for my 2020 USPSA Nationals video. I've never really done anything like this before, so I thought it'd be a really good learning opportunity both for myself and for you guys to watch my replays and see what I could have done better and see what I did that I actually really liked. I was definitely nervous going into this match. It was my first Nationals. I knew I had to focus on match moding and getting my alphas. That's something that's always been a little bit difficult for me because if you've seen my other videos, I like to go really fast. And sometimes might chalk it up to like, oh, I made it up with my time. But realistically, at the highest level, you want to be getting your points. If you look at Christian Seiler's points or anyone around my level does. So that's definitely what I'm going to be focusing on over the next year. That and just executing well. That's going to be something I need to work on a lot. I executed well on some of the stages at Nationals, but there were just too many stages where I was not in the zone. I just wasn't focused. So if I'm able to do that consistently, I think I'll do very well next year. There were two main ways you could run this stage. You're allowed to start anywhere inside the shooting area. You can go left to right. I saw a couple of people go right to left because they thought it was easier to move in from right to left on this target and on this target, especially this one because it's hidden behind the wall. That's definitely true, but you have to get your foot placement exactly right in order to see the proper targets that you wanted to see from this position. So I just thought that it was less risky for me to take out the hardest position by starting on it. So, I start and shoot these two targets. Let me slow this down a little bit. So on the draw, I take out these first two targets. I start moving up, take out that target right there. My footwork was a little bit weird there. You saw I did this little jump there, and that's just because, I guess I didn't plan my footsteps properly, and I knew where I wanted my feet to go, but I didn't plan my actual steps to get me up there. So I did a little bit of a bunny hop to get myself in the right position. I start by snapping on this target right here. There's another no shoot target back there. I go for the popper here. I want to activate the swinger by shooting the popper and then using that downtime to hit this target here. Obviously that didn't work out because I missed the popper. I should have told myself before I started or during my walkthrough, I have to hit the activator. So if I miss, then I need to shoot it and then engage this open target here so that I'm not waiting for the swinger to activate, which is what ended up happening. So that definitely cost me like 2 seconds just waiting there for the swinger to come out. So there, I shoot it. I thought I hit it. Take my step over. Go back for the popper. Wait for the swinger, which felt like forever. I hit it, and then over here, pretty standard. Engage the two targets, and then end on the popper. So stage 8, this was our second stage of the day. There were a few different options available to you to run the stage, which I really like. I saw a lot of people immediately starting by going to this corner here and taking out this array, then running all the way back here to take out this array, then running over here to the left side to take out this array. So one way to cut out some of those positions is to take one giant step to the right, like I did here, and take out everything from here. So I loved the way I shot that array. I thought I executed it really well. I went 1 for 1 on all the steel except for that last one. I took 2 shots at it. It's not ideal, but it's also not the end of the world. I went two shots on the swinger, 2 shots on the bobber. I don't know, I just thought it looked really well and flowed really well. One thing I could have really done a lot better over here, going to the left side, is keeping my gun up. It might have been one of the most technically challenging positions in the entire match if you shot it the way I did. You had to get your footwork, especially your left foot, planted in the exact correct position. Otherwise, you're going to be unstable and having to reshuffle your feet during this large array of 6 paper targets and the two steel. So you can see here that I kind of go over there and I'm looking down and I plant my foot and then I push my gun out and look at the sight. It's an open target here that I'm opening on. If I were able to execute a little bit better, I would have definitely done both of those things at the same time. Now, that would have saved me half a second to a second there. So I take those out. There's that first lean on the partial. I took 3 shots at it. I took so many makeup shots on this stage. I don't know why. I don't know if I was just going a little bit too fast for my sights, but I took 3 shots here, 3 shots on this upper target, and 3 shots here. They were difficult shots, relatively speaking. They weren't open shots, but if I just got taken another tenth of a second to get a better sight picture on those shots, I think I could have saved myself some time. And then I come back here and reload to a big stick. That's another thing I don't do often. I never dry fire reloading to a big stick. I need to do that more often because there are some stages, such as this one, that may call for it. So here, you had to position your body at the exact center of this rear fault line. If you're a little bit off to the left or to the right, then you would not be able to fully see all of the targets behind these walls. So I liked how I came over here, planted my right foot, and swiveled around, started getting my sight picture here, and my left foot automatically squared itself off with my right foot, so I'm parallel to the berm so that I can immediately transition over to that left side without having to worry about my footwork. So stage 9 was a relatively smaller stage, but there were still a few different ways to shoot it. I saw a few people take out this first target here and then immediately shuffle over to these two targets. The one advantage of that is you don't have to make an additional wide transition. You can kind of just shuffle your way over here and take them out. I don't really mind the wide transitions as much. So after this first target, my plan was to immediately swing my body over and swing my gun over to the two targets on the left side here that are off screen right now. For whatever reason, I decided to book it after this first target. It's like I'm trying to sprint all the way across to the other side of the bay. What I should have done, I mean, I got a good 4 or 5 steps in before I pulled that first shot. What I should have done was taken small and gradual steps over to the left side because there's really not much space there, and gotten 4 really good shots off on the left side here as I'm walking up. And then by the time I'm finished shooting those, I am just in time to cross this opening and take these two targets out. If I hadn't booked it like I did, it would have worked out a lot better. Definitely lost some time there because now I'm here slowing down my steps and kind of just standing there while I take those two targets out. On this last position, I plant my feet. This was the second major decision point of the stage. So there are 4 poppers here. This big one activates both of these swingers. So the 3 poppers in front of it are they're just static steel. So some people shot the steel front to back and activated the swingers last and then transitioned over to the swingers. I just didn't think I was going to get 4 good shots off in that amount of time on the two swingers given how far apart they are. I thought it'd be better to activate the swingers first and then go 1 for 1 on the steel, come over to this left swinger while it was in the dead zone right here so I could get my first shot off here and get 2 shots before it closes, and then transition to this right swinger as it's coming out on its second pass. You see here, that's what I tried to do. I had to take a makeup shot on one of those steel. I told myself I was just going to shoot 1 shot at each steel and then come back to it at the end if I needed to. In the heat of the moment, I just took another shot at it because it was right there and I got a good sight picture on it. But I think that cost me just the tiny bit amount of time to get 2 good shots off on this swinger. So I take 2 at it. My timing on the entry there was pretty good, but I think my second shot just pulled off just a little bit. And you see here, I get 2 good shots off on this right swinger because I had plenty of time. My gun was already there, waiting for that swinger to come out. And then I end by taking another shot at this left swinger. Then I finish the stage with 2 shots on this small partial target here. And what I like about ending on this target is if I did feel like I didn't have good shots on either of these swingers, I could have gone back again for another makeup shot if I had to. One thing that I like to do and I kind of train myself to do as much as I can is called the crossover step. I think most people here would lead with their left foot and take a small step with their left foot and then kind of make their way over. The crossover step is a term in baseball if you're trying to sprint as fast as you can a short distance. It's been agreed upon that the crossover step is more optimal than a lead foot step. And I think that makes sense because if you're leading with your left foot, you're using up a whole step to take like a half step distance, right? But if you decide to kick off with your right foot, which by the way, my right foot is fully loaded with my weight and I'm ready to kick off on the right foot as soon as the buzzer goes off. If I lead with my right foot instead here, then I get a whole like double step distance off of one kickoff. And I just think that in the same amount of time and the same amount of effort, I can get more ground. So I kick off here with my right foot, plant my left foot here, pretty straightforward. Start with the open target, get the steal, shuffle my way over here. I like my entry here. My gun is ready to go, and as soon as I see that first target, I'm pulling off shots. I'm not stopping and standing still to shoot these targets. I'm kind of rolling my way through the position. And here, as soon as I get that last shot off, I'm already kind of leaning and my body's already moving over to this side. And you see how low I'm getting here? And I probably didn't need to lift up my leg. You'll see me do that on a lot of these little stages, but it's because you're trying to go so fast and take such quick steps in a small area, so your body wants to kind of lean that way. But fortunately, I was able to get two good shots on the paper and the steal on the first shot. So that was a pretty good stage for me. Got fourth place on it. And one thing to note here, guys, is consistently getting like in the top 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever on every stage is the way to go. So like you don't need to win every stage of nationals to win the match. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and if you just consistently get good points on every single stage, that all that will accumulate and you'll end up getting a really good score. So here's a really simple stage. It's just draw, put 4 into the left and right targets, reload and put 4 into the middle target. I mean, there's really not much to say here. The only thing I want to say is you're not going to win the match on this stage. It's a 12 round stage, which is only 60 points. What you want to do on these short stages is survive. So here, I don't go too fast. I just make sure I get good points here. I think I had one Charlie on this stage, and then call it a wrap. This was a really interesting stage. For how small the shooting area is, I thought there was just so much to it. Those walls are placed really well and the targets are placed really well to obscure your vision and kind of force you to go to different corners of the box. Some people shot this target here and this target here first. As soon as you load the gun, you're already kind of right there. This target was a pretty difficult lean, and if you hadn't noticed, this wall here is not connected to any shooting area. So this wall is technically out of bounds. If you touch this wall while you shoot any other target, you will actually get a procedural. I just thought it would be easier and flowed better if you loaded your gun while walking up to the corner. There are 3 targets here. You have to plant your right foot into this corner to see those targets well. And while I put my right foot there, my left foot is already coming back at a diagonal here. Because once I'm done shooting this back right target, I need to swing back around and come to these 2 targets. So here, I load, right foot here. As you can see, my left foot ended up coming closer to this corner of the box where it should have been back here like I had mentioned. If I had done that, then I wouldn't have had to lean so far to the right like I just did and jumped out of the shooting area and scared this RO. So again, footwork is really important for that, and in order to make this really tight shot, I should have been a little bit closer out here. So here's another one of those short rectangular stages. This time you can start anywhere, so you definitely want to start on one side or the other. I thought it flowed better going from right to left because of the way these walls are oriented. You just have a lot more open space on the right side to take care of this center array, which consists of 4 steel on this stage. If you go from left to right, you're kind of turning this corner and trying to shoot between the edge of this wall and the edge of this wall, and it's just kind of a small opening, so I just thought it was a lot easier to go from right to left. So I start engaging on that first target, and as soon as I shoot that target and I engage this one, you can see my foot is already moving so that I can make my way over to the left. And I knew that I could just take one shuffle step here like that, and I'd be in position to shoot these 4 steel. So right now I'm completely squared up with the steel. I only had one makeup there, which is pretty good, and the makeup was pretty quick. And then I make my way all the way over to the edge and take out the last 2 targets. Up until this point of the match, I was shooting pretty well. I had 0 mics coming up into the stage, and I completely dropped the ball, and I get 2 mics on this stage, and then wasted 2 or 3 seconds going back for a headshot target that I thought I mic'd, but I actually had 2 shots on it. I think I lost 60 or 70 points to the first place shooter of this stage, which was definitely devastating and a terrible way to end the day. But there's not really much you can do about it. You just kind of have to put it past you. But anyway, I start by going left here. Pretty standard, getting 4 targets here. A little bit of trigger freeze on that last target, so I take an extra shot at it. I really like the way that I throttled on these 3 targets. This far target I took some extra time with and then sped up as I came to these easier targets. I did end up having a mic on this far target. I'm pretty sure it was my first shot. I just pulled the trigger a little bit too early as my body was still settling and my footwork was still getting into place. I thought I caught a good shot on it, but I probably pulled it off target just by a little bit. There's my first mic. The center array is where so I look at this no-shoot target on the way out, and I see one bullet hole, so I come back thinking I mic'd it and put another shot into it. When I looked at it after I ran the stage, I actually see that I had 2 shots on it before, so that 2 or 3 second time loss here was for nothing. And my second mic actually was on that swinger, which isn't super surprising. It wasn't a super far swinger. I do know that I need to practice shooting more swingers and farther swingers. Then over here, I come over to the edge because I need time to reload, and it's just much easier coming in on these open targets than it is to enter on a piece of steel inside of a small port like that. So I get these 3 targets and then swing over to the poppers. And you can see here I'm nodding my head and watching Luigi judge me for my dumpster fire of a stage. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope this was helpful for you guys. It was definitely helpful for me. The best way to improve your training is to watch yourself and watch others shoot stages and shoot matches. Figure out where your gaps are. Go for the low-hanging fruit. And it's really helpful to have other people watch you and critique you. And if you guys have any critiques on my performance that I might have missed, please feel free to leave a comment and let me know because I would love to hear from you guys. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.